Good morning, people. It's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry for the lack of updates on the channel recently. Yeah, I've been quite busy. I do another YouTube channel, and well, that one's really taken off of late, and the travel content side of things has been really busy. So it's meant less time to do photography. Plus, I'm also doing a lot of photography with work, which is great because I enjoy it, but not quite so good for you guys because, yeah, I get less chance to do videos for you folks. So anyway, in this video, we're going to be talking about Panasonic FZ82, and in particular, well, somebody's done a video on it recently, basically doing what they always do, which is they've moved on to a much better camera. They've moved on to a DSLR or a mirrorless, and they've got a load of lenses, and therefore they go, that camera is crap. So yeah, it's a bit of a right to reply, I guess, in this type of video. And yeah, we're going to talk about the shortcomings of the FZ82 and who it's aimed at, and I guess, well, what you should expect from this little camera. I still think it's a great little camera for enthusiasts and people who just want to take photos of birds or want to take photos of flowers and things like that, and just general photography. If you've watched the channel before, you'll know I've got a boatload of videos on all the different things I've tried with my own FZ82, all different genres of photography, from night photography, motorsports, wildlife photography, long exposures, infrared, all that type of stuff. And yeah, the results you get with it are quite acceptable, especially if you're sharing things on social media. Okay, they're never going to be as good as a mirrorless camera that you've just spent $1.5 grand, £2 on, and then bought a bunch of really expensive lenses for. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? This camera, what retails currently, the FZ82D, probably at around £350 UK, and yeah, you can pick them up from the likes of CEX second hand for around £100 to £150. Getting into photography for that kind of money, I don't think it's a bad way to start. In this video, I'm also going to share with you some photos I did a few months ago now, down at Hardwick Country Park, where I did that film photography video. Now, I shoved the FZ82 into the camera bag alongside the film camera. It would be rude not to, especially when they have some great feeding stations, things like that, for birds in Hardwick Country Park. So yeah, I'm going to share those photos with you as well, because I did record a video, and the FZ1000, which I was using to record the video, for some reason I'd switched it into manual focus and it lost the face lock, and all my footage was out of focus, which delighted me, as you can imagine. So yeah, I couldn't bring you that video, and that's why we went straight onto the Sony RX100 Mark III video. And yeah, I've been waiting to share these images with you. little blackbird singing in the tree there. And this is where the FZ82 comes into its own because of that zoom lens. This is on the maximum zoom I can do with my phone, but we'll get the FZ82 out and I'll show you what it's capable of. So that you saw we were able to pull in that blackbird, get it nice and close with this huge zoom that the FZ82 has. Now, the downside to the FZ82 really is the focusing system. It is only contrast autofocus. Now, that's old hat as far as autofocus systems and cameras goes. All mirrorless cameras are now using a different system, which is much faster to focus, and you also get things like eye focus and things like that, which are missing on the FZ82. So that's one thing to consider is the type of shots you're going to be taking. Similarly, contrast-based autofocus is quite slow to focus, so moving birds are always a challenge with this camera. So I often get asked two major questions about the FZ82. Can I shoot moving birds, which I've just mentioned is going to be tricky. You can try it. Sometimes you can latch onto a bird and take a good photograph, particularly large species like swans, geese, ducks. They tend to have quite predictable flight patterns. You know which direction they're going to be flying in, and you can pan and take half-decent shots with the FZ82. Small birds, you're going to struggle with. Unpredictability of things like swifts and swallows, where they're constantly twisting and turning, means this camera won't be able to keep up with them. Small birds on feeders, things like that, again, no problem. Small birds in flight, try to zoom in, find your bird, focus on it, and keep track of it is going to be tricky with this camera, even when you're using the EVF, which is certainly easier than trying to do that type of photography using the screen on the back. The other question I usually get asked is, I'm going on a safari, will this camera do the job? And it's in a month's time and I've just bought the camera, or I'm thinking about buying the camera. Now, a couple of things there to say. If you're really thinking about going on a safari, I would get much more comfortable with your camera rather than leaving it till you arrive at your destination of choice, because you're going to have to learn how to best use the FZ82 or any camera. So if you're new to photography, get out and practice. Go to a zoo, go to your local wildlife park, little nature reserve, and see how you get on with the camera. But practice you must do. There are some advantages for using a camera like this in a safari situation. It is fairly compact. You've only got one camera, you don't have a load of lenses. You do also have good light. Usually if you're photographing during the day, you're going to have bright blue skies like this, bright sunshine, which the FZ82 absolutely loves. It's not a camera that worked well in low light. Yeah, it's quite good if you're taking photos of elephants and giraffes and things that are not going to be moving really fast. Things like cheetahs and lions, wild dogs, things that are going to be moving quickly, you're going to have to learn how to use the camera. Use shutter priority perhaps. If you are wanting to freeze frame it, you're going to have to whack the ISO up and you're going to have to whack your shutter speed up. Now that's always a compromise on the FZ82 because it is quite a small sensor, especially with that zoom. You're going to zoom in and the lens on the camera is going to go down to f8. That's going to create quite a lot of noise in the images. So you may have to come home and process those images, try and remove some of that noise. If you're planning to go on safari, you think this is the camera for you, you don't want anything more complicated, you don't want to be swapping lenses out in the field, things like that, buy one and really practice with it. Have a look at some of my videos. Walton is probably the expert on Panasonic bridge cameras. Here's some excellent, really technical guides. You won't get that type of information from me. I'm more kind of, we'll use it, we'll practice, we'll play about with some settings type of guy. He'll give you the information you need on really technical articles. He doesn't do as many videos these days, but he has a huge library of good information on his channel. That said, the FZ82 is going to be much better than anything your phone can take, unless everything's fairly close up. A few people have said, "Oh, I get better photos with my iPhone." You head out and go on Safari and see how much you can zoom in with your iPhone. So I am finding it a little bit frustrating coming along this path. Now, there are a lot of foliage, there are a lot of birds. I can hear a lot of them. We've got chiff-chaffs, we've got robins, we've got finches, all sorts of things. The problem we've got is this is also used by dog walkers. So half the time I'm looking at where I'm standing, or potentially what I'm standing in, and trying to find these birds in the trees is a little bit frustrating. I've managed to get a couple of shots off a butterfly. If they're any good, I can put that up as well, and I'll show you any bird shots that I've also managed to capture. So folks have been a little bit frustrated with the opportunities available to take good shots this morning. During that area where the path was quite densely wooded, the birds were there, you could hear them, but they just weren't able to get some decent shots of them. I've come out into this area here, which is open. I've seen a hawk which flew in the opposite direction, so that was a bit of a disappointment, and occasionally the odd crow. But apart from that, there's not much opportunity out this morning. We're going to head down to where there is a lake. It is a bit noisy down there because we're quite close to the road. It's a major sort of A road, and that's going to be a little bit noisy, but there are some waterfowl there, so we'll try our hand with that. So typically, just as I said I hadn't seen anything along here, I did spot a little bird, little brown job. Not very good with little brown jobs, so I'm going to have to identify this when I get home, and I'll put up on screen now the photographs I managed to capture. He was very good. He let me get up close, and I did use the zoom on this camera to get me even closer to this little bird and take some hopefully good shots. So yeah, if they're any good, they'll be on screen now. So guys, I think we're going to wrap up now. FZ82, I think, is a camera that really has an undeserved reputation. It hasn't tried to claim it's a high-end mirrorless camera. A lot of these photographers, yeah, they've got great kit. I shoot with much better kit at work, and yeah, you will get better results. But at the end of the day, for 300 quid, £350 camera, to get into photography, to step up from your mobile phone. Can't see you're going wrong too much with spending a couple of years learning how to use a camera properly, because you've got all of the different modes that you get with your DSLRs and your mirrorless cameras. You can learn all of that stuff and then you can graduate full of confidence, rather than going and buying £1,500 camera and deciding you don't know how to use it. So for me, the FZ82, great starter camera, great camera to get you into photography.